Hello, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I'm Alan Ihold, Shift Donofrio, and welcome to the Open Division broadcast of the EU region here in week 3, day 2. That's combining the words 3 and 2 together. As I mentioned, I'm Ihold Shift. I'm here with Plausible and Kenobi. And Kenobi's looking mighty festive as we're getting closer and closer to Season 2. Plausible, we're very monochromatic, and I gotta say, I like your style going with the black and gray to start things off as we go. Speaking of things that are not quite so black and gray, though, before we get into it, guys, both of these teams as we go through, we are be looking at Good Knights taking on Team Ignis. Both teams 3 and 2, Paul, which means at this point, it's kind of a do or die when it comes to trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, so when we look way ahead towards the end of round 10, towards the end of round 11, you got to have at least an 8-2 record to have a hope of making it into playoffs. So at this point, like you said, do or die, both of these teams got to win this and every other game they play from now on. It's not all doom and gloom, though. You know, for a lot of teams that come in, if you're not in the Grandmaster range, it is honestly a learning experience, the Open Division. It's Open Division for a reason, right? I know I can't count the amount of friends that I have in Open Division over here in NA that just go in to get slapped around by some GM teams and learn how to play the game better.
Yeah, and I think it always seems to go, doesn't it, Kenobi?
Yeah, I think it's a learning experience. A lot of these players that when we look at the team sheets have a lot of, it's the first time they're playing Open Division, second time they're playing Open Division. So I think Pausible's right on the money where it can be a learning experience for these teams. And one of these teams is going to, kind of just go home metaphorically today with that 3-3 record. But then there's going to be a team who's 4-2. And maybe, they string together some wins towards the end of the season. And they're getting towards that 11th and 10th round with, still 2 losses and have that chance to try and get towards that last playoff spot. But, it is going to be a learning experience, like Paul said, and I think that's really what we need to look out for today.
And as far as the learning curve goes, I mean, we're looking at 2 teams that average around the 3.5K SR, and at that range, you typically see a lot of players that come in and they've won a lot of their games in rank by playing some of these more big damage dealers. You see a lot of Fars, you see some really PogChamp Doomfists or Genjis, and I kind of want to hit both sides of the fence here because obviously over the last couple of, we'll say, months at this point, the game has been essentially dominated by this 3-3 composition, the fabled goats. We have 3 supports, 3 frontliners specifically. And as you take a look at that specifically, Kenobi, I mean, there is a big learning curve when it comes to executing a 3-3 comp effectively. Am I right?
Yeah, and I think EU is probably the region, we had Eagle Gaming, who ran probably GOATS, probably the best variation of GOATS we've ever seen in Season 2 of Contenders EU. They just ran it so perfectly, and I think EU is probably the region where it's a very tank-heavy region. All these regions have their, one kind of style. NA is really, has some dive. EU's the tank region, and China is just like the excited region where just everyone is being played. There's 29 heroes, just go ahead and pick. But I think this is a learning curve. You're right. I think people look at GOATS and they say, oh, it's like really easy to play. You just kind of hit W and mouse 1, but there's a lot more nuance. You have to be careful about Zarya bubbles, discords, Diva eating. If you're playing against the Ana version of GOATS, you have to be careful for your Diva eating those anti-nades. So there's a lot of little missteps that can cause just a GOATS comp to fall apart, and I'm going to be looking out to see if they're going to be playing these GOATS compositions, how they're going to be using those small things effectively. Are the bubbles okay? Are the anti-nades getting through? Things like that are something that you need to be looking out for when it comes to this GOATS composition.
And Paul, on top, I was about to say, on top of that, we see a lot of these different kind of choices when it comes to possibly breaking up GOATS, things like Doomfist specifically, but also things like Sombra and maybe even a Mei, depending on the map. What are some of the big key outside damage picks that you're looking forward to here?
Oh, well, like you said, I'm really looking at that Mei. It looks like we're going to be starting off on Nepal. So, I mean, even before GOATS, Mei was brought out on Village, right? Mei has been brought out a lot of times on the ladder, apparently, in response to the Brig nerfs and the Doomfist nerfs that have been coming out. So not so much looking forward to Doomfist coming out. The nerfs have hit him pretty hard, but yeah, Brig is still going to be very popular. But I'm really hoping we see some Mei play today. Walls cut off the front line so very well, and no better than on Nepal Village.
And do I even dare tease us with the possibility of an Ashe? I mean, what are your guys' thoughts each on the possibility of this newest hero?
Not on Nepal. I think there are maps where you can probably play. Yeah. You have to have those. You have to have those long sight lines. I think for Ashe, you can play kind of on Hollywood A, for instance, on defense. You can play kind of that bunker comp where you sit on top of Cafe and put Ashe there instead of where you would have a McCree kind of compositions like that. I don't know if we'll see here too much, but if we're going to be seeing her, it's going to be on something where you have those long sight lines like Rude or Hollywood A, some places like that.
And I mean, Paul, your thoughts on the newest hero? You enjoying her so far, at least the small bits that we've gotten of her?
You know, once upon a time we saw a lot of double sniper and Widowmaker on Sanctum, so maybe Ashe. I don't know. I've yet to see an Ashe that effectively counters the GOAT's composition. It's nice in theory, right? You get Bob in there, he hopefully does something, but not often is that so much the case.
Well, you know, we can cross fingers. I know I personally am, especially after Kenobi got jebaited the other day with the first ever Ashe that didn't actually end up happening.
It did get played. It did for 5 seconds. It got played. 5 seconds. There wasn't.
Did they fire a shot at the enemy team?
They fired a shot, but it was like one of the ones you shoot at the ground.
Let's be real. It didn't go anywhere near the enemy team, Kenobi. I get it. You're trying
to save face, dude.
I know. I totally got you. And we're all hoping we're going to see something like it. And as we're just about to go to Nepal, you know, I want to hit just one more thing, because you guys have both hit on the fact that EU is very tank heavy. As you take a look through some of the team sheets that we got from these guys, specifically, you take a look at Good Knights. In their team sheets, they've only really listed one person as being their main tank player. They do have someone, Little Cape has been kind of utilized as the flex, but his secondary flex is to Roadhog. So, I mean, as you look at these two teams going up, is that a potential weakness for Good Knights, having maybe only one good solid frontliner?
It could be, because you do have, you know, that only you have that only main tank, and I'm interested to see how their off tank is going to be played, and if they're going to be playing a 3-3, if they can flex. You know, sometimes you see the DPS player go over to Zarya, so that's possible as well, but we'll just have to see.
All right, well, we'll have to see. It looks like our game is just about to get ready to go, so we'll take it away from here. We'll send it to our call, which will be handled by Elite and Pulse. Take it away, boys.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much. From the guys on the desk, my name is Elite. I'm joined by my friend Pulse. Pulse, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We got some great games coming forth to you guys. The desk just covered a lot of things, but there's one here that they didn't cover that saw some changes, and he might be making a comeback with his famous right click, and that is McCree. Do you think we'll see any McCree today?
Maybe not on this first map, Nepal, as the teams are going to start to come out here. Maybe in the future. I'm you know, interested to see here, especially with those buffs to right, so with those buffs to that right click. So we'll have to see.
Well, it will be Nepal for our first map here. We'll see what these guys come out with. Right now, over on the blue side is Good Knights. They have a McCree selected. We'll see if they try to bait us, because they do that a lot. But over on the side of Ignis, they are coming out with the GOATs, the 3 tank, 3 support. But it looks like they're coming right out of spawn, and they are going to be running the McCree as well as the Pharah. So look at these compositions as this one gets underway. What do you think, Pulse?
I think that one team clearly has a lot more frontline, and that's going to be the team running the GOATs, as they're going to try to get right up in their face. You see that Pharah has to do a lot of work.
They're wasting no time, swarming in with a big speed boost. Make 14 sweeping his hammer around, and he'll pick up 2 kills immediately. Looking for a third now as he chases down the Roadhog of Little Cape. That's 3 gone already from Good Knights. And a charge as well from Make 14. So Ignis will wipe the floor here in this first fight. 4-0 for them. They will take the point for themselves as this one gets underway.
And that's why GOATs has dominated this era of Overwatch right here. You see how strong that front line is. They got in their face. They didn't even give them time to set up, and Ignis will take the first point.
Make 14 up at 80% already, working his way towards a shatter. Good Knight's going to try to maybe swing in here through the arch point to come in for another fight here. But Make 14, like I said, is very, very close to this shatter. He's going to charge in and start swinging this hammer around. He has the shatter now. They're going to pick up a kill already onto the right heart of LG7. Has the shatter, going to bring it down. He'll hit at least 2 people, and they're going to follow up on that. Will the side of Ignis, and again, they'll come out on top. Charging back in as Make 14 as him and LG7 run into each other, drop to the ground. They'll both swing their hammers, but there's just too many of the side of Ignis for LG7 to put up a fight. And again, the side of Good Knights will get sent back to spawn.
You know, in theory, you'd think that Ignis, you know, would be at a disadvantage just because the Pharah, there's GOATs is, you know, notoriously just doesn't have a counter for long-range heroes like McCree and Pharah, but that frontline pressure just getting up in their face and not even giving them a chance to find their bearings through this choke, that is why they're winning it out here, just executing GOATs perfectly.
Well, Good Knights, they did make the swap. Kill Rog from McCree over to Brig, and the rally's going to come out from Ethics, but a pick will come out from Blizzard Star on the Pharah. So Good Knights having the numbers advantage, won't be able to get anything with the Rocket Barrage. He'll actually die, but it is 5v5 right now. Graviton Surge coming out from Dami, and the side of Ignis is going to follow up on that as Make 14 throws the Fire Strike and swings the hammer, and again, Ignis is coming out on top. This might be last fight territory. We'll have to see if they can force a contest. At 80%, it's going to be tough for them to regroup and force a last fight.
No, if you're Ignis right now, you got to keep up that pressure. Don't even give them a chance to touch that point. Just keep it up. Hold this choke line. Don't let them through at all, even if they try to take high ground.
At 90%, they have Sound Barrier ready he likes to be called Easy. That's the Lucio on Good Nights. The Earth Shatter is going to come out from Make 14, and they're all going to follow up on it. Easy is in there on the point, trying to flip it the best that he can, but now the side of Ignis swarm back in onto the point. Oh, he'll die mid Sound Barrier. That's going to pretty much do it for this first round, as now Ignis just has to clean up. Overtime is going to burn down, and Ignis will take round 1.
You'd think that, you know, with their composition, there actually could be some counter to it, but Goats is going to pull out strong here, especially Make 14. Goodness, he's such a good main tank. He knows exactly when to keep his shield up and when to go crazy with those swings. That's why we're seeing him in the kill feed so often.
Came in on the Reinhardt, and the side of Goodnights just had no answers. So as we move in here onto round 2, it was a 100-0 for the side of Ignis. What kind of swaps would you like to see from Goodnights to try to even this one up a little bit?
I know Blizzard Star likes to play on that Pharah. You know, he seems very comfortable on it, especially trying to take on Goats. And especially, you know, maybe in this map, maybe that's the map you keep just because there's some environmental kill potential. But, I mean, really, you got to have a stronger front line if you're going to be facing off against Goats. LG7 is doing all he can, but if he's in there by himself, while the other half of his team is in his back line, yeah, you can't really do too much.
Well, as this one gets underway, the side of Goodnight's going to come out with 1 DPS, and Make 14 going to make the swap over to Winston. What do you think of that?
I like that. I mean, it's kind of, you know, Winston can taste through those shields. He doesn't have to worry about that. You do lose a little bit of frontline pressure just because Reinhardt's so good, but the dive is just going to be too strong. As
this one gets underway, Ignis is going to drop down in behind the point and try to swarm their way in. And they're all swarming in here on the point. Throwing out the fire strike, though, is LG7. Ignis is down very low, but they will be the ones to get the first kill here. And Coco Pop with a boop on the Easy, and Ignis coming out on top right now. And it looks like they will be able to take the point for themselves as this one gets underway. Little Cave falls off the edge, so Good Nights will get sent back. Again, Ignis continuing their hot starts. They will take the point for themselves. They actually didn't cap it. Someone's going to have to go back there and get that thing. Now they'll cap it for themselves. Good Nights will fall short here on this first fight. And again, Ignis keeping up the hot pressure.
Coco Pop just doing, you know, a little bit more than the Lucio has to do, getting in that kill feed and, you know, doing that work. And I love that Ignis, all 6 members, they seem like they're all have a very important job. They're irreplaceable.
Again, Make 14 will be the first person to build up his all on this Winston. He is going to have the Primal Rage ready, as well as FX already has the Rally ready. LG7, the Reinhardt over on the side of Good Nights, is about to have this Earth Shatter. Here comes his Nano boosted as well. He's going to hit 2 people, charge him back in. He'll be able to take out Papa C. I heard the Dead Eye get popped over there from Kill Rock. Don't think he was able to get anyone with it, but this does seem like it might be Good Nights' fight. But Ignis is starting to flip this, and they will.
Wow.
4 people dead now from the side of Good Nights. Ignis is going to follow and clean this one up. LG7 almost gets pooped off. He'll charge back in, and he charges right back into his death. So Good Nights opened that fight with 2 kills. They were up 6-4, but Ignis fights their way back, and they will hold the point for themselves 50% towards taking game 1.
I don't know if that was the right move to make as the Good Nights. I mean, they tried to drop down from this high ground and take them by surprise, but if you're all grouped up like that, Winston, he's just going to tase you. Make 14's just going to build up that ult charge again, and it's so impressive that they were able to flip that when especially that looked like a losing fight.
Domi does have Graviton Surge ready. LG7 getting very close to another shatter. So despite losing that fight, they actually are going to get caught right now in the Graviton Surge. The side is going to follow up. It's going to be countered by the Sound Barrier out from Easy. Little Cave came out with one of his own, and now Earth Shatter is going to come out from LG7. This might be Good Night's fight for them to try to flip this point. A one kill will come out from the side of Ignis.
Ooh.
Oh, falling off the edge though is LG7 as Make locks up that kill. It turns back into a 4v4. Still, they have not been able to flip this point. Make 14 with the Primal Rage takes out Ana and Kilrog as well. Now there's just 2 lone players left from Good Nights. Make it 1, make it 0 now as Easy is gone. Blizzard Star is forced to make the swap over to Wrecking Ball to get back to the point quickly, and he charges back into his death. Here comes LG7 as a last-ditch effort. He comes in and forces a contest at the very last second. It's not going to be enough, though. Overtime burns down 2-0 as Ignis takes game 1. So big start for Ignis. They will take it 2-0 here on Nepal. Play of the game coming out from Make 14 was a huge main tank here on this first game. It'll be him jumping in the Primal Rage. He'll knock LG7 off, dive up, and then he'll focus down the Ana as well of Smurf. Takes him out, and then he followed up another kill on the Kilrog with the cannon. Huge plays from Make 14 on the Winston.
Huge plays indeed, and that's what we saw all throughout this night. Is just an amazing, main tank player getting up in their face and doing the job that a main tank does, whether he's on Reinhardt or Winston. Just an amazing main tank player.
Big play from Make 14 from the side of Ignis. So Ignis will take game 1 on Nepal, 100-0 as well. And something that right when that game got underway, I asked you about the McCree. And they ran McCree for almost the entirety of those 2 rounds. There was a small time where he made the swap over to Brig. But for the most part, they ran the 2 DPS, or a DPS at least. And for the whole time, Ignis ran 3-3. So what kind of swaps do you think Good Knights is going to need to try to make this one a little more competitive?
I feel like Good Knights is in that phase where a lot of teams were, especially a couple months ago, when they're trying to figure out, okay, what can break through GOATs? I mean, what could we possibly do that could, make GOATs just not a thing? And then, they're running some compositions that they think could counter it. Pharah, McCree, in theory, very, very good. McCree, a little less, just because, you got to get up close to get your stun in there. And getting up close to GOATs is just not something you really want to do. But, Pharah, it just seemed like, such a good idea in theory, and it didn't seem to work out here, especially with the team that's so tightly knit and coordinated like Ignis is. I mean, they feel like, they're held together by glue. Everything seems to be in sync. There's never a move that seems like, that was just kind of done and not, communicated to the rest of the team. So this team, very in sync.
Yeah, they got it all close like you talked about, and that's not how you want to fight GOATs. Blizzard Star did come out on the Pharah, and like you said, that must be a hero that he's very comfortable with, because he came out with it, and I'm back on that first map, but it just got completely swarmed up by GOATs, even without a quote unquote hit scan counter. But our next map will be Dorado. It will be our escort map. So coming out here on Dorado, it will be the side of Ignis attacking first. So Good Knights on the defense. What do you want to see from them to try to get some momentum onto their side?
Well, if they still want to run, having a DPS on the field, then I see, do the Dorado point A defense. Just hold high ground with Orisa. Orisa's probably the best hero that could go up there and just kind of hold that high ground and rain down those shots. GOAT's composition, like I said, their strength is when you try to fight them up close. Fight them, maybe try fighting them from a range, and the card has to come to you. So defense, they have a lot more map control on this map, on these escort maps, than the offense does. So if this is their time to shine, I mean, they have to have a stellar defense.
Yeah, speaking of a stellar defense, the side of Good Knights is currently coming out with a Bastion and a Symmetra, as well as an Orisa and a Roadhog. So
right.
I'm not sure if they're going for some cheese here. What do you think?
Quite possibly. They're using the sim turret right now to go over to that other high ground that I could assume they're going to drop back, but Roadhog just fell off, so maybe that didn't go according to plan. But yeah, maybe a little bit of cheese.
Yeah, well, here we go. Kilrog is going to set up behind the Orisa shield and fire into the side of Ignis. He'll board back and forth through the Symmetra turret. Dodges a fire strike there by taking the teleport. So, yeah, coming out on the Bastion, and the side of Ignis is just going to stick with the trusty 3-3 of the GOAT's composition. We'll see if they have an answer for the Kilrog on the Bastion. He'll port back over. He's really using these Symmetra turrets right now. Doing a lot of damage, actually. They're kind of just moving this payload, though. The side of Good Knights is going to be forced to have to drop down and try to defend this payload, because they're just kind of moving it now almost all the way towards point 2. Interesting strategy here from Good Knights. They will be the ones to get the first kill, as Easy locks that one up on the Coco Pop. But it is going to be a pretty much a free point here for the side of Ignis. I don't know if this is a C9 or if Good Knights is just allowing them to do this, but nevertheless, Ignis is wiping the floor right now in this fight. And interesting start to the round, Pulse.
Yeah, interesting. When you're holding that high ground defense, deciding as a team when to drop is kind of, something that a lot of teams still are trying to figure out as well, especially these teams here in Open Division. But not dropping at all shouldn't be an option. You should eventually have dropped. And yeah, like you said, it was just a free point that Ignis got.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting strategy. Well, they're going to make a couple swaps over. We haven't seen 3-3 from them at all. They're sticking with the the old 2 support, 2 tank, and 2 DPS, and right now they're making the swaps to Junkrat and Hanzo. What do you think of these swaps? Is this what they need?
It's a lot of shield break, and look at that shatter right there. That's going to open things up for Ignis. Woo, but it's being turned around. This is a back and forth fight if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, Good Knight's actually fighting their way back into this despite a big shatter that came out from Make 14, but now Easy's getting swarmed on. He'll actually get the D-Mech onto Barked, and now he's going head-to-head with a Baby Diva, but he'll be forced to run away. And despite a decent fight there from the side of Good Knights, it's looking like the side of Ignis is going to get very, very close to this checkpoint, but the spawn advantage lying with the side of Good Knights. They'll be able to swarm back in and try to set up a defense here, but it's going to be answered by a rally coming out from Epix as well as a sound barrier from Coco Pop, and the side of Ignis is going to swarm in off of this now. And the Hanzo wall is going to come out from Blizzard Star. I don't know why, but I just completely blanked on the name of that. The Dragon Strike comes out, but Ignis is still coming out on top in this fight. They will hit the second checkpoint. They're on a roll right now here on Esport.
I love how Ignis is forcing Good Knights to play their game. They're saying we can't adjust to, your defense where you try to hold high ground or try to hit this from afar. But no, we're just going to get up in your face. There's nothing you can really do. You're going to play our game. You're going to play it on our territory. And that's Ignis' game right now, and they look confident as ever.
More swaps coming out from the side of Good Knights as Blizzard Star makes a swap over to Diva. Now if Kilrog makes a swap maybe over to Brig, we might see Goats versus Goats, and that might be what they need. But at the moment, it is Kilrog in here on the Junkrat. Don't have his grenades. He has a Riptire. He's sending it out. He's getting hit as he brings us out. Self-destruct as well. But a big Riptire as well as a big self-destruct. This might be what the side of Good Knights needs to get a fight under their belts. LG is swinging this hammer around, but it's answered. Oh, well, it was answered by Primal Rage, but the Discord helped a lot. The Discord helped a lot in taking out Make 14. And Good Knights, maybe one of the first things for them to cheer about, will win a fight following a big Riptire from Kilrog.
Big Riptire and D just turn that offense around, and now if you can set up a defense with this spawn advantage, I mean, man, this is a defensive team's dream right here.
4 minutes is a long time, but yes, with the spawn advantage, this is holdable for Good Knights. But if Ignites can keep out the pressure that they've had, we'll see if Good Knights can hold it. LG7 does have this shatter ready, and Transcendence is going to come out from Easy. Here's the shatter, only going to be able to hit the Diva with it, so maybe not one he wanted, but still, Good Knights is going to follow up on it, and LG7 kind of charges into his death. Epix comes out with the rally. Another Riptire builds up for Killdog. Can he get another big one? No, he's actually not able to get anyone. Right now, the numbers advantage still lying with the side of Ignis. They're up 6-5, but the spawn advantage is with Good Knights. But that doesn't really matter because Ignis is still coming out on top in this fight. Actual Smurf goes down. Self-destruct coming out from Blizzard Star. Not able to get anyone. He'll jump back into his mech. Now it's a full-on stagger coming out. Earthshatter comes out from Make 14. He'll take out the Reinhardt of LG7. Blizzard Star gone as well, and Ignis will take it all the way with, I don't know how much, I didn't see, but somewhere around 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes in their time bank. We'll get an exact look here, but it is going to be 3 minutes and 34 seconds. So big attack from the side of Ignis. Good Knight's going to be on their attack now. What do you want to see from them, knowing they got to take it all the way?
Good Knights, they had a great plan, especially their composition. Like I keep saying, in theory, definitely should give Goats kind of a run for their money. It's because that last comp was a lot of spam damage, a lot of shield break, and that's what you want to go head to head with that Goats composition. Just one thing I'd like to see from Good Knights is a little bit more communication. I could tell the communication isn't as strong as Ignis's is, just because especially in that final fight, you can see their LG7 charging into the back, and you called it. He essentially just charged into his death, and that's when that fight turned around. That's when Ignis started to win and push that cart all the way through point 3. So just a little bit more communication, I feel like, would strengthen what Good Knights has. They have a lot of good stuff going for them. They just need to kind of make it a little bit more solid.
So on the side of Ignis coming out for their defense, this is one of the first times we've seen a swap from them. Make 14 did play a little bit of Winston, but for the most part, they've just been running the 3-3. But as we can see, Ethics on the May. What do you think?
Well, I know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to let this cart come up to this house right here and then wall off this door. And that would contest the cart while also not being in a firefight at all, just because May walled off the door. So that's really, I think, going to be this opening plan here. And then once the fight actually breaks out, it's just going to be that Goat strong front line.
Well, the side of Good Knight's going to come out with the 3 tanks, the 2 supports, and 1 DPS. That's Blizzard Star on the Sombra. FX in here throwing out the, or hasn't thrown out the wall yet. That was what I was expecting. It doesn't really need to, because Make 14 just walks in, gets 2 kills immediately. Little K Frozen going to get D-Mech. They'll all follow up on that.
Goodness.
Blizzard Star eats an icicle to the face, and then the kill is locked up by Coco Pop. Ignis gives them no room to breathe in that first fight. what can Good Knights even possibly do right now? Because right now they've put up no fight at all up to Ignis on neither Nepal or this. Now they're on attack. What? Go ahead.
I mean, look, they ran out of that door and hit them like a train. They just were not expecting that. And Good Knights just has to find a way to kind of bring the momentum towards them. Clearly, Ignis has all this momentum right now, and they know exactly what they're doing in every move. And there's a pick that could start opening things up here.
A pick as well as a resurrection. Another kill followed up for LG7. This might be what Good Knights needs. There we go. Kills coming out for the side of Good Knights. LG7 will go down, but it should be enough kills for his team to maybe get this payload moving a little bit. Ethics is locked in here with the Ana of Easy. They're trying to chase down the Ethics of May, and they will get that kill. So Blizzard Star on the Pharah. We talked about back on Nepal. He seems to be a fan of Pharah, and it must be a comfort pick as he makes the swap, and he's playing very, very well. He also has Smurf on the Mercy, so the pharmacy coming out for the side of Good Knights. Technically, not really a hit scan over on the side of Ignis. So do you think this might be what Good Knights needs? They're off to a good start. Well, hold on just a second as a big shatter comes out from Make 14, but a big star. So as I was talking about the Pharah, this might be exactly what Good Knights needs. Big rocket barrage from Blizzard Star. LG7 was nanoed and trying to chase down this Zenyatta of Papa C. They'll get that kill as well. So maybe the Blizzard Star on Pharah is what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what they wanted to do in Nepal. It's just that this map, definitely favors a lot more to Pharah than Nepal does. So this map is just perfect for Blizzard Star to just pop off on that Pharah. A huge barrage there. And look, Good Knights, they're starting to make some good traction with some good time.
3 ults on the side of Good Knights now. Almost 4, as long as Little Cape can build up this whole hog during this next fight. So they're looking good in this next fight. 3 ults as well for the side of Ignis, but so no big ult economy for each side. We'll see who wants to commit heavily to this first fight. There's not really a shield that can block this shatter, so if LG7 can get a big one, he's only going to be able to get the, I believe it was the Lucio that he called of Coco Pop. There was no follow-up from the side of Good Knights, so that's an ult going. A lot of ults are coming out from the side of Good Knights. Transcendence as well as Rally used from the side of Ignis. No one's committing heavily to this fight just yet. LG7 will be the first one to go down. We'll see at the side of Ignis, the sides to capitalize. Following that, coming in with the pile driver is the wrecking ball of Kilrog, but it's a little too late as the side of Ignis is coming out on top in this fight. They're trying to push back Good Knights right now. They'll have to wait for their for LG7 to respawn to set up another fight. So they had a lot of ults ready, did Good Knights, but Ignis comes out on top in the end there. They're stalling this payload for the time being.
Yeah, Ignis, they just don't want to give them any room to snowball like they were. I mean, for a little bit, they were going out of control, but they were able to stop Good Knights here. And there's a big combination coming up. We'll see if it lands. Oh,
and it does land. A self-destruct coming out from Ethics. Comboed with the Graviton Surge that came out from Bark. 2 kills for the side of Ignis. That shuts down that fight pretty much immediately. They'll push Good Knights back. Good Knights still with 3 minutes on the clock, so they have some time to get this moving. Blizzard Star, the desk talked about this. Swap over to Doomfist. He's been hit a lot lately by the Nerf Hammer. What do you think of the swap?
I mean, he has to pop off pretty hard in order to get value out of this Doomfist. I mean, I can imagine you're going to get more value than you were on that Pharah. We'll see, and he looks like he's getting focused right now.
Nano boost onto the LG7 of Rhine. He's trying to swing this hammer around, but all of Ignis is running away as they know that's a big, strong Rhine. The Nano boost is down, and they didn't really capitalize much on it at all. But Ignis isn't coming out with any big kills either. There goes the Blizzard Star of Doomfist. Transcendence comes out from Papa C to keep everyone alive during this fight. Again, Ignis pushing back the side of Good Knights to be pushed back through the choke. They're still trying to follow up on this. Ignis not giving them any room to breathe. The shield goes down from LG7, and they'll try to push them back even more. So Ignis again holding down the side of Good Knights.
Yeah, they are. Oh, we're gonna get a pause here real quick. We did have a couple of people on the side of Ignis actually calling for that pause, so we'll see as they get some time to figure that out. Maybe just a little bit of a lag spike. But let's talk about what we've been seeing here lately. One thing I want to point out that we didn't really get time to talk about was kind of a good rotation of ultimates that Ignis is using right now. Let's look at their percentages. They have 2 members down who just use it. Those are the 2 supports, and they still have Dami who has his ultimate. And I love that the tanks, their ultimates, they're all around each other, while the supports, their ultimates, minus Dami, kind of their ultimates are around the same, they're close to each other. So I love how half the team is on a good rotation of those ultimates. They're not using all of their ultimates at once, not playing willy-nilly with it. Then that's that good communication I was talking about from Ignis earlier.
So They're down to 1 minute 53 seconds.
Yeah.
Good Knights was off to a decent start here in this round. Well, they were off to a little bit of a shaky start. It was when Blizzard Star made the swap over to Pharah that everything kind of set off for Good Knights. They've kind of stalled out here. They're about halfway towards the second point. So they're not even so far where Ignis has the big spawn advantage, where we see a lot of teams kind of get stalled out is at that point too, where the spawn advantage is very strong for the defending team. So they're stalled out here about halfway through. Blizzard Star, when it was looking really good for Good Knights, it was when Blizzard Star made the swap over to Pharah. Yeah. Now he's back over onto Doomfist, and Kilrog is on Junkrats. What do you think of these current picks? We talked a little bit about the Doomfist, but now you can break it down a little more for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a disruption spam damage combination with with those two DPS. Doomfist is going to get in there, try to get some people, dislocated out of position. As we're getting back in the game, as the pause is over, things seem to be figured out just a little bit more. And wow, look at this whole Goodnight team going back and swapping a lot of swaps. There we go. Blizzard Star back onto that Pharaoh, Kilrog onto May now, and Little Cape onto that Zarya.
So we saw May from the side of Ignis. Now Good Knights is coming out with it. Do you think this will help the side of Good Knights than May?
It gives them a little bit more of a map control, and against a comp like this, where they're just kind of getting in your face, is everything you want. And look, Kilrog already doing work.
And Dami brings out the rally as this one gets underway. A couple kills for the side of Ignis. LG swinging this big hammer, but he's getting chased down by the Make 14. The Tesla Cannon going through his shield. He'll get taken out again. Ignis is pushing them back with the speed boost from the Coco Pop of Lucio, allowing them to keep the pressure up on the side of Good Knights. Make 14 jumping up to try to focus down the Pharah of Blizzard Star. So Blizzard Star back over on the Pharah. We'll see if this is the swap that, he swapped back onto the Pharah. So we'll see if this is what they need to really keep this payload moving. They're down to less than 60 seconds now. He is working his way towards the barrage. LG getting close to a shatter as well, but easy taken down before the fight can even get underway, as well as FX chasing down Blizzard Star on the Pharah. And again, Ignis is shutting them down. They're down to 30 seconds left. Good Knights has got to reset and regroup for one more fight.
They definitely do. This is final fight territory right here. 30 seconds coming up. They have a lot of ultimates. They have 2 ultimates. They kind of just force their way onto the point, but Ignis, look at this pressure they're putting on. I'm not even letting him get out of spawn.
3, almost 4, almost 5 ults for the side of Good Knights. They're going to have to get grouped and come in for one big final fight. If there was ever a fight that they could win, it should be this one. Here's a Shatter coming out. He's able to hit 2 people, but it's answered by a Transcendence. Self-destruct, and a big self-destruct from FX takes out 4 people. There will not be a final fight. FX made sure of that, and Ignis will hold off Good Knights following that big self-destruct. That will do it for game 2, and Ignis will go up 2-0 here in this match.
Oh, an insane play, and I have a feeling I know what this play of the game is right here. This final little fight right here, just to kind of put the nail in the coffin and put him away.
Here it is as the self-destruct was sent up. Yeah, it was answer with the combo and just a big self-destruct right there at the end. The 4 kills from FX. So it is 2-0 right now for the side of Ignis. We're going to throw it back to our desk for a quick breakdown here in just a moment. But before, let me get your thoughts. So Good Knights is down 2-0. And I've asked you this a lot, but being down 2-0 now, we haven't seen them run the popular 3-3 at all. Do you think that Goats is what they need to counter Goats? I know that Pharah is considered like a counter because there's no hit scan, quote unquote. Right. But even when Blizzard Star is coming out of the Pharah, they still seem to answer it. So just real quick, do you think that Goats would be the answer to Ignis's comp?
Maybe. They would have to be just as solid as Ignis is, so that would probably require a lot of practice, a lot of communication, and I feel like that's where Good Knights is kind of lacking the most, is that communication, that glue that's holding the team together. So, I mean, it is a must-win, so, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't knock it.
Well, let's get the death thought on that. So, Hold Shift, Kenobi, and Pausable, they're going to break down the first couple of games. What'd you guys think?
Well, we think a lot of things, Elite and Pulse. That's for darn sure. We think a lot of things. And I think we should probably start off with the first part of the conversation, which is we talked about Good Knights maybe not having the solid frontline gameplay. It doesn't really look like they're really outfitted to play the Goats here, Paul. I mean, flat out on Nepal, things started off. It just went Ignis's way very easily on both points, really. I mean, 100-0 on both of them.
Yeah, well, one of the main matchups we have right now is LG7 versus Make 14, right? The main tank matchup has always been important. Doesn't matter if it's a Ghost meta, Dive meta. bunker comp meta. Main tanks are always going to be a foundation of Overwatch as long as we don't see some wacky 60 PS meta. And the thing about the Goat's composition is it's so good at enabling your main tank to do whatever they feel like. You've got Diva barriers, you've got Brig to protect you, you've got Zarya bubbles. You are unkillable in a coordinated Goats comp, and Make 14 is running rampant with it. LG7 not having the same kind of luck. They've been, Good Knights have been running some wacky compositions, and it seems like every single fight, it's just Ignis bullying LG7 because of it.
Well, and it's not just compositionally as well. We're also talking about just how they were able to position. We saw them utilizing the high ground in the first point, able to utilize all of the inner areas when it came to Sanctuary. So Kenobi, I mean, when it comes to being out-comped and out-positioned, I mean, where do you go from there?
Oh,
Kenobi, we love your voice.
Oh no, internet. I think we may have lost one Star Wars themed caster, but I can try and fill in when
I hope so.
So when it comes to the coordination, honestly, I'm gonna give it the same answer I gave to the other one. There's a reason that Goats is better than most compositions right now, and it's at this kind of level, it is easier to get the basic levels of coordination down, right? The idea of sticking together, being on the same target. We've seen Good Knights struggle with this because they still have compositions like even when they ran the Super McCree on Sanctum, right?
Right.
We would have the backline stuck in that room off to the side trying to deal with the Primal Raging Winston. Meanwhile, the front line pushes out and tries to get picks, right? And it's because you have that differential in range. If you are to run the Goats composition, everybody is within like 5-10 meters of each other in game, right? So
right.
It's a bit simpler to get the base down. It's gonna be hard for them to bring it up to the level that Ignis have been demonstrating, but I would like to see them give it a solid go.
It's some way, just do something different. And I mean, speaking of things different, Paul, I mean, we started off Dorado, and we're sitting here looking at the defensive composition with the cheeky Symmetra, Bastion, Orisa, the TP cheekiness coming through, well, attempted to be come through. But here's the thing, I don't know if you know this, Paul, on escort maps, there is a payload to push. And when you're playing defense, you sometimes like to try to stop that at times, right?
Sometimes. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Good Knights were doing a very good job of sticking together, juggling through that Symmetra teleporter, all as one unit, right?
Yes,
that's probably the most coordinated we've seen them as a team. I would have liked to see them maybe pick a different map to pull that out on. The problem with doing that on Dorado is, like you mentioned, the payload exists, and you got to get that rotation back around to the archway if you're going to run that Bastion and try and funnel them through there, right? Yeah. But the other problem is that the high ground really doesn't give you much opportunity to juggle, right? You can juggle back once the payload pushes, but once you're on that second set of high ground for point A, the Symmetra teleporter isn't really useful anymore. Maybe it's a strategy we're going to see them employ a second time. We are going to head over to Volskaya. So, first point, there's much more high ground surrounding point A there. So maybe it's something they can pull out to a higher efficiency.
Well, I think regardless, we're probably going to have to see some kind of what we've claimed in the community as cheese to beat this composition that we've seen from Ignis so far of the Goats. If you're not able to play it, try to find your way to smell up the scene with a little bit of cheese. Lindbergh, Gouda, Brie, anything you can find out of the pantry. We're going to send things back over to our main cooks in the kitchen, though. Back to Elite and Pulse. Take it away for map 3.
Thank you guys so much for the halftime breakdown there. So, Volskaya Industries, Good Knights down 2-0. We're going to have to see the famously coined reverse sweep to for Good Knights to pretty much stay alive here in Open Division, because if it's 3 games, you're pretty much out. So this is a must-win game, and Ignis is coming out like they really need it right now. So we're diving onto Volskaya Industries, 2 CP, and it's still going to be the side of Ignis on attack. So Good Knights on their defense. The Des talked about it a little bit, and if they would have to come out with some kind of special cheese. So with the quote-unquote cheese, is there anything you might be expecting here from the side of Good Knights?
Well, I mean, if they want to bring out the true trees, I mean, something very easy is the Symmetra, obviously, you know, just to kind of bring it out. But as this defense is walking out of spawn right now, I could see that they get locked in. Just this classic 2-2-2, you know, coming out. But it is a little bit of an odd one just because the DPS are Pharah and Widowmaker. And while that seems like, you know, good long-range sightlines, if they get up close, this team might crumble. So it is a must-win. They have to keep them at that distance, and let's see if Good Knights can have a good night.
So yeah, 2 tanks, 2 support, 2 DPS. That's they're sticking with the tried and true over on the side of Good Knights. Ignis sticking with the 3-3. So we'll see. This is the first time we've seen Widow from either side. So we'll see if Widow might be what they need to try to make it shut down. Make 14 gets put to sleep as well as eats a biotic grenade, but he backs up, gets healed up, and now they're all going to swarm their way in onto the point. Make 14 swinging around this hammer, trying to focus down LG. He'll charge in. Charge straight into a wall. Ignis still in here, in on this fight. And a kill for both sides right now. Neither team with a huge advantage in this fight. Can still go either way, but Ignis is starting to try to flip kills for their side. But LG7 comes back with one of his own. A shatter builds up already for Make 14. LG7 does get taken out. Make 14 with 3 kills now. And again, Make 14 back on this right here, doing exactly what we saw him do back on match 1, or game 1, back on Nepal. And Make 14 already builds up a shatter. They already cap point A. They're going to look to snowball this one. Ignis off to the hot start that we've seen from them all match.
All match indeed. It's just this dominating brute force goats composition that no matter what you throw at it, I mean, besides, we haven't seen the mirror come out, but we've seen almost everything get thrown at this goats comp, and it's just so strong. But Make 14 goes down here, so this fight's going to be turned on its head.
Yeah, the shatter was completely blocked, and following the block shatter, Ignis might just go ahead and roll out. Rocket Barrage coming out from Kilrog. I think a lot of it was eaten by the defense matrix from Bark from the D.Va, so I don't really know if he needed that. They were up 5v6, and Ignis was kind of retreating anyway, but oh well. They're trying to follow up on this now. He's got a Discord orb on him. Kilrog needs to peace out and get back into his team. Oh no, he's not going to make it as he gets taken out. Self-destruct coming out from Bark. Won't be able to get anyone, but there is a transcendence from Papa C. The side of Ignis is still going to follow up on this. Make 14 charges off LG7 as well as himself. So both Reinhardt's gone from both sides. The nano boost is going to come onto the wrecking ball of Blizzard Star, trying to hold this one off the best that he can, but a lot of his team is going down right now. There goes Kilrog. Now it's just Blizzard Star swinging around on the ball, being very annoying. They're trying to focus him down, but right now he's surviving through all of this. The shatter completely misses from LG7. Sound Bear comes out from Coco Pop. They're just staggering right now. Are the side of Good Knights. 1 tick build up for Ignis, charging back in is LG7. He runs into a shield bash, which forces him to fall down to the ground. They're coming in trying to stall this one. LG7 gets taken now. The side of Ignis will start to fill this one back up. Earth Shatter comes out. A big one from Make 14. The third and final tick is about to be filled up. The only man in here now is Blizzard Star in the ball. He brings out the minefield. I don't know how long that's going to help him. There's the third and final tick. Ignis, huge first round here on Volskaya.
Huge first round indeed. They just snowballed the way, had all the momentum in the world. One thing I want to point out for Good Knight, wow, look at that time, 5.5 minutes. They just, you know, that's more time than the game gives you. So, you know, you had a great run if you're Ignis. On the side of Good Knight, one thing that I keep seeing is their misuse of ultimates. I mean, in that fight where they were able to kind of hold the second point and turn it around, they used 2 ultimates while Ignis was on their way out. I don't know if that's really the move there. You have to be a little bit more restrictive, and I'm still, you know, seeing a bit of a lack of communication. I don't know if they have necessarily like a designated shot caller, but maybe that's something to look into if they don't already have it. There's a lot of improvement that Good Knight could have here, and they're gonna have to have a very, very stellar defense in order to win this one out.
LG had a shatter that was missed completely, as well as it was Kilrog on the Pharah. It was a fight that Make 14 died. He had a shatter that was blocked, I believe, by LG7, and then he died. So without Make 14, I mean, all of Ignis is playing very, very well, but Make 14 is like the powerhouse of that side. And Good Knights hasn't really had an answer for him. So with him dead, it looked like Ignis was piecing out. They didn't want that fight, but Kilrog followed it up with kind of an unnecessary barrage. And then the side of Ignis was able to capitalize on that. But let's get a look here, because the side of Good Knights has been running the popular 2-2-2 all game, and now they're coming out with the old dive. What do you think of this?
The old dive, yeah. Oh, I'm feeling a little nostalgic right now, just because I love seeing this comp out here. This could work. This could absolutely work. It just has to be executed so well. This team has to stick together, and the DPS, they have to get these picks here. It's just going to be hard to kind of break through that shield front line, and he's just going to go straight in there. And I don't know if just taking him straight on was a great idea. Maybe try to go around him next time.
Yeah, he punches straight into his death. Ignis is going to follow up on this, swinging the big hammer like he always does. Is Make 14 as they keep the pressure up. He's charging in, doesn't want to charge off the map. He'll charge into the wall. Blizzard Star gets knocked off by the punch there from FX on the break. So the first push right here on dive gets completely shut down. Blizzard Star on the Genji. Lots of people still really like Genji because Genji can win a lot of fights simply because of Nano Blade, but Nano Blade is going to be hard to do when they don't have an Ana on their side.
Exactly. It's just going to be the classic Blade, and with all that HP on the field, and other than that burst healing of Goats, I mean, it's just going to be a little bit hard. They're going to start to initiate this dive here, but it seemed a little split. I mean, one member won in before the rest of them, so I don't know if this dive is necessarily going to work out.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think he might have interrupted the shatter there. Did kill Rog with a good punch. So that gives them something to cheer about, but they are still losing this fight at the moment. It kind of comes back to how you were talking about. You don't know if there's a designated shot caller. It kind of looks like they're playing dive, but they're not diving a specific target. And again, they're getting pushed back to their spawn. So again, the side of Ignis holding them off. Actual Smurf gets booped off by Lucio of Coco Pops. So 2 minutes are pretty much gone. They're down half their time already. And so they're down to 2 minutes left in what is pretty much their Open Division lives here in this Open Division season. No swaps coming out from their side, so they're liking the dive right now. They're about to have 5 ults ready, so we'll see what they can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to focus on these DPS, see what they do with their ults. Maybe engage with one of their ultimates. Maybe the Doomfist ult goes into the sky just to try to get an early pick in that backline, and that's how it would be a great way to initiate the dive. But nope, they're gonna take him on straight in here, and this hasn't worked the other times, and maybe it will work this time with the Zen ult.
LG7 dives in. Easy used the Transcendence as well. Blizzard Star still sitting on this Dragon Blade. Down very low is Epix, and that might be the pick that they need. The Graviton Surge is going to come out from Dummy. Make 14 with 2 kills. Self-destruct, not able to get anyone. Blizzard Star does bring out this Dragon Blade. Wants to take out the Zenyatta of Papa C, and he will. Now trying to take down the Reinhardt of Make 14. He'll get taken out, but this might be Good Knight's fight at the moment. It's currently 3v2, but they do have a baby diva. Well, never mind. They're going to get taken out as Coco takes out Easy. Good Knights with the spawn advantage might be able to swarm back in here though. It's only Domi on the Zenyatta and Coco Pop on the Lucio. So the side of Ignis is going to try to push their way back in. Smurf runs into his death though. Now it's only Little Cape, Blizzard Star, and LG7 making their way back. He's going to get D-Mech though, and seeing the D-Mech, the side of Good Knights is going to be forced back to the choke point. They're down to 60 seconds left. That might have been their fight to win, and again, they're not even able to get a tick.
No, I mean, definitely should have been that fight. I mean, I know both the members were low there on this side as this fight starts to engage here, but you had spawn advantage. You definitely should have had a bigger presence on that point. It just, that this Ghost comp is even if they have to walk a mile to get back here on this defense, they're just coming in here and establishing their dominance. They're so confident right now.
Well, here we go. Probably last fight territory if they don't, if they're not able to cap this point. Hey, no ults ready for the side of Good Night, so it's going to be a dry push for them compared to the 2 ults. Blizzard Star dead already, so they're coming into a 5v6 as well as Epix coming out with the rally. So the bonus armor is going to be over on the side of Ignis. Easy does bring out the Transcendence as they try to engage on this fight. They've been able to build up a couple ultimates at the side of Good Nights, but I don't really know if it matters. They're still getting taken out. He's able to punch him off the edge. It is LG7. I don't know if that pick is going to be enough, though. He'll jump back into his death. Little Cape and Killrock both on the point. We're going into overtime right now. Transcendence from Papa C keeping the entire side of Ignis alive. We'll see how long the side of Good Nights can contest this. It looks like it won't be much longer. Meteor Strike coming out. He's going to have to drop onto the point. The rest of Good Nights trying to swarm back in to keep this one alive. There's a kill from Blizzard Star. We'll see if Good Nights can try to keep this one alive following that one kill. There is a person dead, but with overtime being dead this long, here comes the Dragon Blade out from Blizzard Star. He gets 2. He's trying to flip this, trying to take out Dami now. They need to make sure they stay on the point as this is overtime. Blizzard Star getting focused down, and he'll get taken out. Overtime is still alive, though. Good Nights isn't out of this yet. LG7 is in here. He's all alone, though. If he dies, overtime will burn down very quickly. Little Cape is back to turn this back into a 2v2. LG7 is dead. Little Cape goes off of the point for just a little bit too long. Being in overtime for that long means that as soon as you step off, that thing is going to zoom down. And he did step off for just a little bit too long. Too bad, because it looks like Good Nights might have been able to cap that point there at the end. But in the end, it will be the side of Ignis. They take it 3-0. The play of the game from Ethics here on the Brig. Swinging around the flail, taking everybody out. So Ignis takes it 3-0. They will stay alive here in Open Division. So Ignis winning 3-0. We're going to throw it back to the desk here in just a minute. But I have one question for you. I feel like I know what your answer is going to be. I feel like it's going to be the same as mine. But do you have an MVP for this match, Pulse?
Oh, actually, you know what? Might not be the same as yours because I've been looking at, players specifically, just liking their performance, but I know it's gonna be my boy Make. He definitely popped off there on that main tank, kind of held together Ignis, and was definitely just the star player on that front line, whether he's playing Winston or Reinhardt. A great main tank and just a great team in general.
Yeah, that was gonna be my choice as well.
Okay.
So yeah, when he was playing the Rhine back on Nepal in the first round, they had no answer, and then he made the swap over to Winston, and I was curious if it was going to be if that was going to change anything, but no, he came out with the same exact spacing, the same exact pressure that we saw from the Reinhardt. So Make 14 would have been mine as well. So Ignis takes this 3-0. They stay alive here in Open Division. We'll throw it back to the desk. We'll see what they thought. So Shift, Paulsable, and it's Panda making the sub in for the Kenobi that dropped mid discussion at halftime. So, but over there on the desk, what'd you guys think?
Well, first of all, I'm not even sure if that's actually Panda. Looks nothing like the Panda that we've come to know and love. I mean, you're looking like a clean-shaved baby out of the womb, my man. You're looking real smooth, real silky. I like it. What
can I say? It was through intergalactic travel. We lost the General Kenobi through a black hole, and then you found me. A few years later, older Panda, yeah, younger Panda, here to save the day.
Perfect.
5 years younger. I wouldn't take you for a day over 17 with that look, but
oh my god,
we're not going to go too much into that conversation. Let's go back to what we just saw, which again, I think Paul, we hit it on it just nicely in halftime. It just simply came down to frontliners over surpassing for Ignis over Good Knights. I mean, we saw it with Domi. It was just him and Olucio. It's all you need to keep the point in contest and win it out, nearly even full charge throughout it. The frontline battle was just overwhelmingly in favor of Ignis throughout this match.
Yeah, and the other thing that Ignis really had going for them was the discipline that they had, right? It was just that little bit more of a, hey, wait, we can give up some progress. We can take this fight when we have 2 more people because our respawns are going to come in slightly quicker, right? That allowed them to hold on Volskaya A for like 2 fights that they had no right holding based on their respawns, right? The respawn for the attackers is so much closer. Good Knights, they think, all right, we just funnel in, we get everybody in there when we can, and they just die one after another to some nice positioning from Ignis on the defense. Really good coordinated play coming out from the Firebase team.
And Panda, you joined in late, but you got to catch at least some of the games leading up to it. I mean, general reactions from you? I mean, we kind of didn't get your take yet, so kind of a fresh, hot take from you.
Watching the entire broadcast, what we were talking about going into this game as a whole was that none of these teams had to lose, and we saw the more stray away from how hard a team wanted to win and really pull forward in Open Division and playing the strongest composition, which at the end of the day is GOATs. I mean, when you have just triple support and triple tank, that's what makes it so powerful. And when you have a very competent Zarya player in this meta is where you can see most engagements swinging in favors. Proper self-barrier management is typically where you see most Zaryas winning those bouts and gaining a lot of Graviton Surge Charge, and you saw that in Dami. Dami was a really standout there for me personally on Volskaya Industries, really being a thorn in the side, more of I guess a laser beam in the side of the team of Good Knights, and it really just held Ignis as a whole. You always need a really competent Zarya player to always really be composed in the heat of battle, when to use that projected barrier and to use that self barrier when to push on forward. It's just that bigger brain play. At the end of the day, when you look at the GOATS composition as a whole, that's what really drives it and what really makes the difference for me personally.
Yeah, I think you hit it nicely. Just those small decision makings when you do have those ability advantages. So as we take a look at how well they were able to pull off the GOATS composition, do you guys both think that Ignis has a chance to go through the rest of the couple of weeks and actually make it to a point where they can put themselves in playoff contention?
I think they have a chance. There's still some work I'd like to see Ignis do. That, don't get me wrong, their play was definitely the cleaner play today, but they had some sloppy moments, right? They had moments where they would layer support outs, where people would get caught out, rotate wrong. There's some comm issues most likely. So Ignis, good on you today. I like where your team is heading. If you can, over the next couple of weeks, keep on an upward trend like you did during your match today, I think you have a real shot of at least getting in that playoff contention.
I think there were certain holes that were definitely open by Good Knights there at the very end. I mean, there was no way that Blizzard Stars should have found any sort of value with that blade towards the very end. And if you're going to be that composed team going forward, you really need to make sure that you have those really locked down. You need to make sure that you're all tracking properly. You need to make sure that you're communicating properly and setting yourself up prominently for the next team fight forward. You need to be thinking very far ahead, and they're going to be having more difficult matchups going forward. They may not only be the team that has 2 losses or even 1 loss, the way that this the seeding ends up working going through this regular season of Open Division. You never really know who you're going to face. You never know how strong the opponent's going to be, but you need to be looking for those kind of things. You need to be, like Paul said, you need to be more composed within your rankings, and you need to make sure that you're communicating properly. So that way, when it comes down to it, if you end up having that GOATS matchup versus a team that is more composed on a dive flex matchup, say they prefer the Sombra and the Doomfist or the Genji, and they play it very well, you need to be ready to shut that down. And I think that always starts and ends with communication.
Very well wrapped up. We'll leave it at that, but that's not all of the Open Division that we have. Continuing on with the EU region, we'll be seeing Untamed Spirits taking on Inbreds just after the break. 2 teams that are looking a little bit more qualified for that playoff spot, as their win-loss records are, again, a little more favorable towards that. I've been Shift. That's been Panda, young Panda at that, very baby Panda, as well as having Kenobi for a short time impossible. We'll be back with another desk and another set of games just after this. Don't you go anywhere. Set 2 coming up after this break.